Hey y'all, welcome to Geek Freaks. I am Frank, and today we are talking with Adam and Mike. How you guys doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Doing great.
All
Yeah,
right.
thanks for having us.
Yeah. Can you guys tell us about your guys' project, Social Studies?
Yeah, Adam, you want to kick off?
All right. Well, Mike and I met back in ninth grade. I mean, I guess we have to give some history to get into the comic itself. And he had been drawing his whole life. I was always into drawing too. And actually, we met because I was late to class. The only seat open was next to him, and he was drawing a Space Marine from StarCraft. So instantly was like,
Nice.
okay, I'm into that.
Yeah.
And we just kind of started drawing these little goofy things, inside jokes, pass them around our friend group, like between classes, just in our composition notebooks instead of taking notes. And it was something we always had in the back of our minds. And what, 20, 21 years later, we had always stayed in touch, always stayed friends. The comic was different permutations. It would disappear for a while. Mike would send me updated drawings of the characters, and every time was like, oh, there's no way he can get better than that. And then the characters evolved again and got better. And I had this boring dead end job. His drawing had gotten even better. I was bored out of my mind taking writing lessons. So I wrote a version of the script and I sent it to him and I said, do you want to do this thing for real? And that was kind of our modern jump off point.
Nice. I like the idea of, like, for instance, ninth grade, start sketching, and then just taking it off from there. That's going to be really cool. The story feels like it's from ninth grade. What was the purpose of the story?
It's just kind of our story in a way, but it's
Mhm.
also part wish fulfillment and part like if we could talk to our 14-year-old selves.
Yeah.
And mind you, too, there's a lot of stuff in there that's just off the wall. We came up with goofy stuff,
Well,
and
yeah, sure. There's a lot of
one
that
of
too.
but one of the fun things that we did is we don't specify what actually happened in real life
Hmm.
and what didn't, and we kind of want to leave it up to the readers to think like, I wonder if that was actually a real scenario, and you'd be
Yeah.
surprised at how weird some of them actually. Some of the weirder ones were actually taken from real life. So,
Yeah, some of the stories seem pretty wild and stuff like that, but everything seems relatable, right? It all
yep.
feels like you're saying with 90s cartoons or even 90s movies. I'm getting real Doug vibes, Recess
Oh,
vibes,
awesome. Yeah.
stuff like that. Uh,
100% we're going for like kind of a spiritual successor to those Nicktoons and the
yeah,
cartoons of that era.
and it feels like that. It does. Uh, the drawing, the art style that you guys have picked for this, it harkens back to me like those old classic like newspaper comics, which I don't think are even a thing anymore, really. Where did you get this art style? Was it just something that you honed over time, or did you pick this for this?
It is something I kind of worked on over time, but I can tell you, just kind of like what you were saying, like there was a big, yeah, it's kind of a culmination of various different inspirations. One being the '90s Nicktoons style, uh, and then there was Calvin and Hobbes, so Bill Watterson's style
Hmm.
was a huge factor on my kind of how I evolved my style. And then I'm sure you're familiar with Doug Tenenbaum, who's the creator of Earthworm Jim.
Hmm.
His style as well, kind of. I learned a lot of line depth and things like that from his style. So it all just kind of meshed into whatever I kind of came up with over the years and kind of landed where we're at now with it.
Is this your first art project, or have you been working on art on other books and stuff like that?
It's the first like bona fide published comic that I've done. I mean,
Okay.
I've helped other people on small things, just like, hey, can you do me an illustration of this or XYZ, and I've done that kind of stuff, cartoons and characters of people. But for an actual long term project like this, yeah, this is the first one.
First one. You use one of the things I found very unique. I mean, really, honestly, while I'm reading this, it just takes me right back to those '90s shows that I used to watch all the time. One of the things I found very unique is the heavy like outline that you use for the characters.
Yeah.
What is the purpose for something like that? I'm just wondering.
So I didn't start out doing that. We'd gotten a couple issues in before we'd actually colored them. And even though the color really makes them pop, I actually found that I didn't want them to look too, not that I have a problem with it, but I didn't want them to look too like the Teen Titans style, where it's just a huge,
Yeah.
thick line, but very rigid. But I also wanted them to pop from the rest of the scene. I really wanted the reader's focus to draw in on the character and what they were doing.
Yeah.
So I ended up just kind of doing a thicker outline on the exterior of each character for each panel. And I really liked how it looked, so I just kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, it adds almost like another dimension. Like, hey,
Yeah.
there's the foreground, there's the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about how the color makes it pop, and it definitely does. Would you ever consider doing a different version of this, maybe black and white?
Well, we did originally.
Oh,
We
okay.
were thinking about doing it in black and white, and then Adam, you took some classes on the coloring theory and coloring comics, and I mean, I'll let him explain kind of his process to get
Yeah.
into that decision, but it was the right decision, I think.
Yeah, originally, we were going to do it all in black and white, maybe like a grayscale, and then
Hmm.
we're doing it in chapters. So, like the first chapter is 7 issues, and then our thought was take those 7 issues, put them in a trade, and make that in color. So it kind of gives you a reason to buy them again.
Yeah.
But then we were thinking with the inspiration of the art, like the 90s cartoons are bright and fun and colorful and just
Yeah.
zany colors everywhere. So we're like, we really need to put our best foot forward and not let it look drab because people don't know us. You know, we've never had a published work, like we're new to this world. So we wanted to like really jump out of the gate. And we actually had an artist we were going to work with to do the coloring. So I was going to write it and letter it. Mike was going to do the outlines and the drawing. And, you know, I say I write it, but we always break the story together and stuff and edit it together. I just write it in script format and then we review it. So this other guy was going to do the coloring, and he was going back and forth for a while, and he was like, you know, this project is so personal to you guys. Why don't we just jump on like a screen share Zoom session, and I'll teach you how to color comics.
Oh, wow.
So I did a few classes with him, and then I found this guy. He goes by Color by Kurt online. I forget his last name, but he's a comic book colorist, and he has a whole package of lessons. And I took those and just found the look we wanted for this one comic. And I think it was the right choice. That I think if we put it in black and white, it kind of would have done it a disservice.
Yeah, the color is very important here because it does again remind you of like back in the day when things were just so bright, so flashy.
Mhm.
You know, radical is the term I want to think. Like it's all this all rad, you know. So it's perfect like that. Adam, speaking of the writing process here, the time frame is a little interesting, right? Because again, we keep mentioning the '90s, and it feels much like it almost is like these kids don't have cell phones, and yet they're doing selfies. How do you find that kind of mixed timeline, or are you guys even trying for that, or is it by accident?
That's actually intentional also, because our first thought was we met in 1999 at 14 years old. Let's set it in 1999. But we didn't want it to fall into one of those things where it's like, oh, wink and a nod to 99. Oh, let's talk
Right.
about Y2K. Oh, what if this
Yeah.
happened in 2000? Like, it's kind of like, okay, we're trying to be too clever now. Let's just kind of keep it ambiguous and ageless in a way where, yeah, they mentioned social media, but we're very careful to not be like, I was watching you on Instagram stories and you did this,
Right.
because in 5 years that might not be a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the 90s, but not.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll note that like later on you see like their at whatever symbols, you see their usernames and stuff like that, but then you're like, but to what? It doesn't really say. So
Yeah.
I do like that. That makes it to where it's going to live a lot longer. Is there any plans on tying this into future projects? Like again, the way you show actual usernames, creating a Twitter account for each of the characters, anything like that you have fun planned?
We would love to, but we'll be the first to admit we're terrible at the marketing side of things. We try, we just don't know what we're doing. And the same thing with social media. We both have accounts. The comic has social media accounts.
Mm-hmm.
I update it with a picture as often as I remember to, but we really don't know what we're actually doing. So to take on like 7 additional social media accounts
Right,
for
yeah.
each of the characters is like, I can't even wrap my head around the logistics of how we would do it.
We did talk
Would
about
love
it though,
to.
and I think if we do, it's probably going to start out pretty slow with maybe just one of the characters, and then just kind of
Yeah.
doing like whatever weird nonsense, like one of the characters, Turner. I feel like he'd be really easy because he's a strange dude, and it'd be easy to find weird
yeah.
stuff.
He's the life of the party, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about this
That's
before, me
probably
and Mike. If any interns out there want to get in on the social media game, you let us all know. We're hiring interns
Free
right
comics.
now. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
We'll even let you do a dance as long as you hold the comic book out in the foreground for like
There you
2
go.
seconds. You're all right. You can do whatever
Figure
weird
out the hip
dance you
dance.
want.
I love that. Okay, so yeah, you guys have started this project. Is there anything? What is your goals for this? You're talking about 7 issues. Is that kind of the 7 chapters? Is that the plan? Is to get the 7 out?
Oh, we already have 7 out.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have our first chapter done. Our second chapter is it got a little bit delayed with the whole supply chain issue thing
Of
that
course.
everyone's been feeling. Like all the publishers were out of paper and it just took forever. So chapter 2 is going to be wrapping by the end of this year. And then we're just going to keep moving. Our plan is to take the characters through high school.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah, so you're gonna have this
we're,
full
we're doing a bunch.
development series. Yeah.
Yep.
And then you're in local shops right now. Are we gonna be seeing these? Is the plan to see these nationwide maybe someday?
Would love to. I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
it would.
absolutely.
Of course, it was just a huge goal. And the funny thing is, technically, most of our clients are like friends and family, so they are spread out slightly right now. It's a very tight group still that's aware of it. So can't possibly claim that's nationwide yet. Yeah.
You said you're gonna do your first convention soon.
We did. It was Plastic City Comic Con in Massachusetts, which is a little bit difficult because I'm on the East Coast, Mike's on the West Coast, so he couldn't be there for it, which was a bummer. We would have loved to do our first one together.
Yeah.
But it was a small 1-day con, but it's very comic focused, so it was really good. We didn't get lost in like a celebrity autograph mill or something.
Yeah.
And we did really, really well for our first con. A lot of good feedback. The kind of the things we were talking about with the 90s cartoons and people hearkening back. So that went well. And we have another one, Bing Comic Con, also Massachusetts, at the end of October. So that's been helping to spread the word a bit more.
We talked to a lot of indie comic book creators that are worried about making that first step into doing a convention. Now that you've done your first one, what are some advice you might be able to give or something you want to bring for next time?
I would definitely say start with a small. I mean, I wanted to do a 1-day one because I figured I was going to screw it up so bad that I didn't want to be locked into 3 days of like, what am I doing?
Come back
here?
tomorrow.
I'm not gonna make a sale. Yeah. And when you go, like, try to look professional. I don't mean to like pat ourselves on the back too hard, but we really tried to think of what we've seen at other conventions. We got a couple banners made. We had a color coded tabletop and things. We didn't do anything crazy elaborate. Don't go out and spend 10 grand on LCD screens with massive commercials and all that, but just try to look professional and take it serious. Don't just be the fold out table with 3 issues on top and no tablecloth or anything. And a lot of people did come over and say, oh, how long have you been doing cons, because they thought we were established.
Nice.
Sounds a little self-gratifying, and I don't mean it that way, but just really take it serious and try to think through what you'd like to see.
Yeah. I like the way that it sounds professional, make it look professional. One of the best comic book creators I've met at a convention was actually sitting there drawing panels in front of people. And like that got people to stay there and watch. I really enjoyed that. So
that's a cool idea.
When Mike gets out there.
When we can do them together, I would
eventually
love to have the screen projected onto like a
There you
TV
go.
or something so that Mike could be drawing, and then if he's talking to people, I can be coloring, just to have the movement
back and
there
forth.
live.
Yeah, I can't imagine like trying to draw or something like that live and answer questions. Like that's just, I couldn't handle it myself. There's no way.
Yeah, we both have to be there for that one.
Yeah. Another thing I really liked about this comic I wanted to make sure to mention is the fact that it feels like, I mean, it's cohesive, but it feels like 3-page, 4-page stories and then another one and then another one, like a sitcom almost. Was that by design or are you guys like, oh, let's just see what we can get out of this?
Yeah, it was Adam essentially wrote the scripts like a sitcom, set up like
Perfect.
a sitcom. And I kind of chose to illustrate it more towards almost like your I'm sorry, what's the word before?
Storyboarding.
Storyboarding. In a storyboarding technique. So in my head, I'm seeing this as an animated series, but I'm storyboarding it out into the comic form. So, and I think honestly, I would love to see them come to life one day in animation. So I really feel like it would actually be a very easy transition if we ended up in an animation studio and they said, well, what do you want us to see? And we just hand them a comic and they say, okay, we can work with that right off the bat just by looking at it. But the sitcom feel was 100% intentional.
Yeah.
That's really kind of what we were going for.
The pacing and everything like that, it feels like you're watching, we've said 90s 40 times, we're going to say it one more time. It feels like a 90s sitcom. It really does feel good.
Awesome.
These characters are very relatable. They seem like they're fun people to hang out with. We got Bruce and whatnot. Can you guys explain some of these characters? And what are their personalities that you are excited to kind of explore more into?
That was something else that we talked a lot about because we had been drawing them for so long. They were pretty much already people in our heads.
Nice.
Like we could have a conversation and be like, "Oh, that's something Turner would definitely say," or "Oh, that's more of like a Len thing." And we mentioned before it's semi-autobiographical, but we didn't want to be like, "Okay, Mike, you're Turner, I'll be Wesley." Like it wasn't that. It was more like Len was us at 14, shy, kind of insecure, not really sure what to say or what to do. Turner's more the guy we wanted to be, and we were kind of with each other where we could like let our guard down and just be goofy. And then Roy's kind of like, a big ball of anger and tension, which a lot of people in their teenage years they just don't know who they are. And that's kind of what we're trying to explore. And then, Wesley goes a little further off the deep end with just kind of being zany, where Iris is trying to be kind of more grown up, but still falls into 14, 15-year-old trappings. And so we wanted to take our personalities and split them up amongst the characters rather than do one-to-ones of people we knew.
Are any of these personalities or characters something you're looking forward to, like pushing out and seeing, like, hey, if we take, Turner and stretch him out as much as possible, what would that look like, type of thing?
Well, yeah, actually, because he's kind of the way his character is designed. He's a very intelligent, but he doesn't put in the effort. We'll put it that way, and that is eventually going to bite him in the ass, quite frankly. Down the line, like once they're out of high school and they start realizing they have to do adult things, the whole "I'm not going to try as hard because I just feel like it's all going to work out" isn't going to necessarily work for him. So yeah, we are trying to stretch that out. You will see some changes in personality as they kind of grow up and experience stuff. But we also don't want to get too heavy into too much stuff where it's just like becomes depressing. We're really trying to keep a very like light tone with most of their characters and most of the personalities. So, and I think we've done a good job kind of keeping that balance in there for the most part.
You can always do like the very special episodes where somebody like gets a real character defining moment, and then boom, next issue something hijinks them all kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going for. Yep.
We'll pepper that out throughout, and then we always try to counterbalance. Like we always write things like a sitcom in an A and B story, and if our A story is getting kind of heavy, the B story goes that much crazier to try to counterbalance it, so you can still have a good time. You get the character development, but you're still having fun.
We also don't want to stick too strictly to like a everything has to do with what's going on with the last episode too. We really like to do one where maybe they're in school the entire day and something's going on there, and then one or two issues later, it's just like an action-packed one. So there's an episode where they go paintballing, and the whole thing is very light on dialogue and heavy on kind of physical comedy and action and things like that. So we're trying to keep a good balance there as well.
Yeah. It's like a great playlist. You got the fast songs and you got the slow songs, and that's how it should work.
Exactly.
A good example, I think it's the first issue when they go to the mall and you have two different stories really going on at the mall, but there's one's distracting from the other one just the right amount to where you're like, what's this going on at the mall and two girls, and then meanwhile the other two, so it works out really well, and then in the end everybody's just running away. So
exactly. Which was kind of the story of our childhood, We meet up somewhere and end up having to run away at some point.
Yeah. Get into some trouble.
Yeah.
Again, very relatable, very fun. Social studies, guys. Reason for the name. I think it's pretty evident, but you guys want to clarify the reason for the name real quick?
So originally, it was going to be named Len Turner and Roy. For 20 years, it was called Len Turner and Roy. Anytime we referenced it, it was LTR. Wesley became such a main character that we were like, well, it seems kind of bogus to leave him out of it. Just have him be such a big character and not have his name included in there. So we probably spent the better half of a month or two trying to come up with something else. And we were originally going to say Earth Science because that was the class that Adam and I both met in. But it's really specific. We're like, and there's absolutely nothing to do with Earth Science in the comic other than in the first episode where they meet. So that kind of got us on the path of, well, class names. That's kind of a good route to take. And we really just one day we're sitting down, it's like social studies, and it just kind of was like, wait, say it again. Social studies. I think we're onto something. But it also kind of works too, because they are working on figuring out where they belong in society, and that kind of good play on words there for it. So
Yeah.
kind of stuck with it.
It really does work quite well. It's like, oh yeah, it's, as you're saying, it's perfect. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, so this is
a lot of people get it.
yeah. I mean, like I said, it was pretty self-evident, but I just wanted to make sure to clarify it for everybody at home. Where can people go pick up? How many issues are out right now so they can pick them up?
9 right now, 2 at the publishers, kind of back ordered, so 11 any day now.
Okay. Where can they go to pick this up?
The best place is socialstudiescomic.com.
Okay.
It's our website, all print there. And the second best place would be Comixology. That's where all of our digital are. I believe the first 7 are on Comixology Unlimited, and you just have to go through the approval process to get the rest. So if you have Comixology Unlimited, check it out. And they're like $3 for a digital copy, $5 for a print, and really nice format. So
that Comixology, they got me, man. Every so often, I'm like, I got to do physical only. It's what's best for the industry, yada yada yada. But it's just so easy with Comixology.
It's too easy. Yeah,
it's
way
so
too easy.
convenient. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I ended up buying a new tablet because I was like, I need something that runs Comixology better. So they really got the money out of me now. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us,
Thanks for
man.
having
We
us.
appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys. Head to socialstudiescomics.com. It'll be in the description. Comixology, go check it out over there for sure. And all the social medias, so you guys can follow them when they do post some cool stuff, behind the scenes stuff. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.